The legs tremble, stiffen, as if they were invisible prisoners. The pain arrives unexpectedly, tears through the silence of the night, and forces the body to wake up. Anyone who has ever felt a deep cramp knows, it seems like the muscle has forgotten how to live in peace. And it's not just passing discomfort. It's a warning, a sign that something bigger is happening inside. With each sudden contraction, fear is born. The fear of walking down the street and feeling your body fail. The fear of losing balance when climbing a simple step. The fear of depending on someone to get to the bathroom. Small pains hide big risks, and what seemed common can turn routine into a threat. But there is a hidden key to this riddle. 3 simple choices, hidden in your daily plate, can decide whether your legs become fragile or firm, bound or free. It's as if the body were a bridge. With the base weakened, any wind will knock it down. With the right pillars, it goes through storms without giving in. How many times have you accepted pain as normal for your age? What if it wasn't quite like that? What if the vitality that seems far away was actually within reach? A silent secret separates a sleepless night from the morning when the body awakens lightly, ready to take its steps with dignity. Today, this secret begins to be revealed. Have you ever noticed how pain doesn't arrive alone? It brings with it the shadow of insecurity. Just one night interrupted by cramps is enough for the body to walk with trepidation the next morning. The step that once seemed firm now falters, as if the floor were made of glass about to shatter. Every movement carries the memory of pain, like an invisible mark that follows the walk. The body holds memories, not just from childhood or youth, but also from the mistakes that insist on recurring. Legs that twitch without warning are like a door creaking in the middle of the night, a warning that something is out of balance. And when that door creaks often, we begin to believe the entire house is doomed. This is how many feel, as if aging were an inevitable process of ruin. But what if it weren't like that? Imagine for a moment looking at your own legs as roots. Roots that support the trunk of life. When strong, nothing can shake them. When fragile, even a light breeze becomes a threat. With each cramp, the body seems to scream that the sap isn't flowing as it should. It's a silent call, begging for attention, care, transformation. Some accept this call as a sentence, but others also see it as an opportunity. These are the people who discover that within pain lies an invitation to look within, to investigate what truly nourishes or weakens the body. And that's why so many people choose to stay here, following each revelation, because they feel that something greater has brought them to this point. Think of the nights you wake up with a start, massaging your leg, trying to loosen the tight muscle. The room is dark, the silence broken only by your rapid breathing. Now, imagine yourself walking into the dawn, pain-free, fearless, with firm steps. It's possible. The transition from one scenario to another isn't far off, but it requires the right key. And that key, still hidden, begins to move slowly toward you. And when your body insists on warning you, what happens inside your mind? It's not just the pain tightening your muscles. It's the doubt that silently creeps in. You start to wonder if you'll be able to cross the street without feeling that treacherous twinge, if you'll have the strength to climb the stairs to your room, if you'll be able to trust your own legs in the face of an unexpected event. Each question is like a growing shadow, stretching over days that should be simple and light. Cramps aren't just cramps. They carry with them the threat of a future where independence slowly fades away. What begins as a brief contraction can turn into a fear of walking, a dread of leaving the house, and isolation. Physical pain gives way to an emotional labyrinth, where each corridor leads to new uncertainty. And it is in this labyrinth that many become lost, believing there is no way out. Imagine the contrast. On one side, the interrupted night, the panting of breath, the hand squeezing the leg as if the pain could be squeezed away with the strength of its fingers. On the other, the dawn when the body awakens weightless, and the walk to the kitchen is almost a silent prayer of gratitude. Light and shadow, fear and hope, coexisting within the same heart. It's in this space of contrast that life decides itself. The muscle that closes in spasm not only paralyzes the leg, but opens the mind to the awareness that something needs to change. As if each contraction were an insistent knock on the door, reminding us that time doesn't wait. Either you listen to this call, or routine takes charge of turning small signs into major obstacles. And there's a hidden, almost invisible detail that many overlook. A hidden factor that fuels the repetition of this cycle, night after night, until it becomes a prison. This detail, still hidden in the darkness, is what separates those who continue to live in fear from those who awaken to the freedom of their own bodies. And it's about to be revealed. There comes a moment when pain is no longer confined to the body, but permeates the invisible layers of everyday life. You find yourself standing before a simple staircase, hesitating as if it were a mountain. Your heart beats faster, not because of the climb, but because of the fear that at any moment your leg will give out. It's in these moments that fear seeps into small details: the living room rug, the uneven sidewalk, even the act of getting up from your favorite chair. The house, which once seemed like a refuge, can become a territory full of traps. And yet, there are also those moments when the body seems to forget its fragility and everything flows naturally. The morning light shines through the window, touches your face, and you walk a few steps without pain, feeling for a brief moment that there is still freedom within you. These contrasts are like waves, sometimes violent, sometimes gentle, reminding us that life is not only made of limits, but also of spaces where it is possible to breathe. The mind records each of these moments. The heavy silence of the early morning, interrupted by a sudden contraction. The feeling of relief at being able to move again. The fear of dependence. The hope of still being able to. It is in this back and forth that a subtle truth emerges. The body speaks, and when it speaks, it asks not just for physical care, but for undivided attention, affection, and a deeper look. It's at this point that many feel the urge to support this journey, leaving a silent signal that the message has touched them, almost as if it were a way of acknowledging, "Yes, I feel this too, and I need to keep listening." Because within this shared experience, a kind of invisible communion emerges, a sense that no one needs to face the weight of what seems inevitable alone. And yet, there is something hidden between the lines of this experience, something that doesn't immediately reveal itself. A hidden, almost imperceptible presence that continues to fuel both pain and hope. And it is this presence that begins to reveal itself, slowly, in the next heartbeats. There comes a time when the body no longer speaks only through the pain, but through the silence it leaves behind after it passes. It's as if the sudden absence of the spasm were merely a respite, not a victory. The muscle relaxes, but the memory of the contraction remains, throbbing in the memories. And this silent echo can be even heavier than the moment of pain itself. It's like living in a house where the light constantly flickers. Even when the bulb comes on, you walk around fearing that the darkness will return without warning. Every step taken after a crisis carries an invisible weight. Confidence in one's own body slowly crumbles, like sand slipping through one's fingers. And in this distrust, a profound dilemma arises: to trust and move forward, or to limit oneself and accept the prison imposed by what seems inevitable. It is in this space of tension that many discover a harsh truth. The loss of freedom begins long before actual incapacity. It begins with fear. But there's also another side to the same coin. Because, even though pain has the power of a prison, hope has the lightness of a key. It's like walking down a dark hallway and suddenly noticing a ray of light at the end. No matter how small, this clarity changes everything. The heart warms, the shoulders loosen, and the certainty arises that there is something waiting to be found. The contrast between the weight of uncertainty and the possibility of renewal is what keeps the flame burning within those who resist. It is at this point that life ceases to be merely a succession of days and nights interrupted by pain, and becomes a journey of discovery. Because if there is shadow, it is a sign that light is near. And it is precisely at this threshold, between the fear that paralyzes and the hope that beckons us forward, that an even greater revelation lurks. Something that doesn't reveal itself immediately, but is about to emerge, like a secret kept by the body itself, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. The body sometimes seems to live on that tenuous line between falling and flying. A leg that gives out just when you need it most can mean much more than a few seconds of pain. It could be the rebound of an old fear. The fear of not being able to sustain yourself in the world, of losing your own autonomy. But all it takes is one day when your body responds firmly, when your steps flow without obstacles, for a gentle hope to rekindle. It's as if two versions of you inhabit the same skin, one a prisoner of fragility, the other a guardian of the strength that still insists on resisting. This duality reveals itself in small details. The glass of water you hold tightly in the morning is a sign of achievement. But the unexpected stumble, the sudden contraction during the night, reminds you that the line between balance and instability is as thin as glass. Every gesture, no matter how small, carries the memory of both realities. It's like walking on a road lit by a shy sun, where the shadows of trees occasionally cover the path. Light and darkness alternate, and it's up to you to keep your gaze fixed on the horizon, even when your feet falter. The curious thing is that this power struggle isn't limited to the body. It also reaches the mind and heart. The fear of losing vitality mingles with the desire to continue living intensely. It's a silent struggle that happens every morning, when you get out of bed and decide whether to surrender to limitation or challenge uncertainty. And it's in this daily, almost invisible choice that the destiny of those who follow is built. The heart knows there's something beyond this conflict, a presence that hovers over every pain, every pause, every return. Something that hasn't yet fully revealed itself, but that insinuates itself in the moments when the body, however fragile, finds the strength to rise again. As if there were a truth hidden behind the curtain of pain, waiting for the moment you allow yourself to see it. Your breath holds at this threshold, because the greater revelation hasn't yet shown its face. Each choice made thus far begins to leave its mark, however subtle. The body, previously gripped by trepidation, begins to rehearse firmer steps. The heart, once burdened by fear, begins to experience intervals of confidence. It's not an immediate transformation, but a silent process, like a seed that breaks underground before emerging to the surface. With each less interrupted night, each morning when the leg responds without fail, the awareness grows that something is changing, even if almost imperceptibly. Visualize yourself walking on a rocky road, where before each step seemed unsteady. Now, some sections offer solid support, and in others there's still a risk of slipping. The contrast between security and instability is part of the learning process. It's in this movement that you discover the power of perseverance, when the effort isn't just about enduring pain, but about continuing to pursue a life that still holds achievements. The impact of this quest isn't limited to the body. It also affects the way you see the world. Suddenly, small victories begin to accumulate. The night when there was no cramp, the morning when your steps were lighter, the moment when fear gave way to hope. These are signs that act as answers, as if the universe were returning to each act of care a promise of continuity. And yet, at the same time, the tension remains. Because the body still holds secrets, and with each improvement comes the doubt. Will this change be lasting or just a passing whiff? This question isn't weakness, it's part of the process. It's in this space of uncertainty that the deepest insights are born, those that force us to reflect on what truly sustains vitality. Many, upon reaching this point, feel the urge to share what they're experiencing, to comment on what they've noticed in themselves, as if by putting this reflection into words, the journey becomes even more real. And it is precisely in this territory of advances and doubts that a greater revelation begins to approach, still shrouded in silence, ready to emerge when the gaze is attentive enough to recognize it. As the signs of change accumulate, so does the awareness that each victory is fragile, like a flame lit amidst the wind. The night when the body rests uninterrupted brings with it an almost childlike joy, but a single unexpected contraction is enough for fear to creep back in. It is in this back and forth that the journey reveals itself to be more complex. It's not just about overcoming pain, but about learning to walk alongside it, recognizing its messages without letting it overwhelm you. Imagine yourself crossing a suspension bridge. With each step, the wood creaks, and you feel the abyss beneath your feet. Your heart races, but your eyes remain fixed on the other side. There's wind, there are risks, but there's also the promise of reaching a more solid ground. This is the path between discomfort and hope, a crossing made of trust in steps that still falter. Progress, though real, does not eliminate challenges. On the contrary, it makes each obstacle more visible, clearer. The mind begins to question whether the effort will be enough, whether small achievements will have the strength to sustain lasting change. And, at the same time, the same mind envisions the image of a different future, one in which vitality is not just a memory, but a living presence. It is a constant contrast, a dance between the weight of doubt and the lightness of hope. These tensions shape not only the body but also the way we view life. With each challenge overcome, a spark of clarity emerges, as if the veil of uncertainty were lifted for a moment. But when the shadow returns, it seems even denser, even more demanding. It is in this cycle that transformation is strengthened, in the ability to resist darkness without losing sight of the light that, even distant, continues to shine. And in the silence between one step and the next, there's a sense that something greater is preparing to emerge. A truth still hidden, but so close that it can already be felt in the air, like the omen of a revelation that will change the way we understand not only pain, but life itself. There comes a moment when progress begins to reveal itself not only in the body's movements, but in the way the soul observes every detail of life. The muscle that responds firmly on an ordinary morning seems to carry more than simple strength. It brings the reminder that there is still a future, still room for achievement. However, this same reminder also carries the fear of losing again, as if each victory were accompanied by the shadow of doubt. The mind becomes a stage for a silent theater. On one side, confidence grows like a flame that insists on burning, even in the face of the wind. On the other, the suspicion that everything may be fleeting, as if the flame were merely a reflection, about to go out. This duality creates an invisible but constant tension that accompanies every step, every breath. Imagine an open window in the middle of the night. Outside, the darkness seems infinite. But in the distance, a single star shines, small, almost timid, but enough to remind us that the sky still holds light. This is how the body, even in its moments of fragility, continues to offer signs that it is not in total ruin, but in the process of rebuilding. Every small achievement, however, requires vigilance. Confidence cannot become carelessness, because the challenge returns at the most unexpected moments. A muscle that suddenly contracts, a night interrupted, and the feeling of vulnerability returns with renewed force. And yet, it is in this back and forth that the deepest awareness is built. It is not the absence of pain that defines victory, but the courage to walk through the shadows without losing sight of the light. This delicate, almost invisible balance shapes not only the body but also the way we experience our own existence. With each oscillation between strength and fragility, an inner map is drawn that reveals much more than muscles and bones. It reveals the essence of what sustains life. And within this map, there is a still hidden point, a secret that pulses in the silence, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. And then, after so much back and forth between pain and relief, fear and hope, something different emerges. It's no longer just about the muscle contracting or relaxing. It's about the awareness that each moment experienced has shaped something new within you. The body, once seen as a battlefield, now reveals itself as a sacred territory of learning. Each contraction was a harsh teacher. Each firm step, a precious gift. And in this balance of forces, you begin to realize that true transformation lies not only in the end of pain, but in the awakening it provokes. Imagine yourself walking on a clear morning. The sun gently touches your face, and the cool wind envelopes your skin like a discreet embrace. Your legs, once fragile, firmly support the weight of your history. There is a dignity in each step, a sense that it is not just about walking, but about honoring the path traveled. What was once fear now transforms into reverence for life itself. It is as if the body, in its silent language, has finally revealed the secret. Strength lies not only in the muscles, but in the courage to carry on even when everything seems uncertain. This is the point where reflection becomes action, where learning becomes surprise. Because what seemed like mere pain turned out to be a wake-up call, a call to live with greater awareness, a call to not accept the shadow as destiny, but as part of the contrast that gives value to the light. And in realizing this, something opens within you, a space of belonging, of clarity, of renewal. That's why so many leave a silent gesture of recognition, whether by commenting on their own discoveries or supporting this space with a sign of presence. Because it's not just a message, it's a sharing. A journey that only makes sense when it resonates in the hearts of many. By liking, commenting, and subscribing, you not only follow along, but become part of this living transformation, taking with you the light you found here. And when the last word fades, what remains is this gentle certainty. You didn't stumble upon this path by chance. It was a privilege to be present, to witness each revelation, to feel that life is still renewed, even when it seemed to be closing. Take this with you as a treasure, because this moment is more than a learning experience. It is a rebirth.